All right, welcome to the Wholesale Gauntlet podcast. Today is going to be an exciting one. Today, I want to talk about the difference between locking deals up over the phone and going into the appointment. Going to the appointment is definitely crucial. You're getting a lot of wholesalers out there today, a lot of wholesaler gurus telling you to just lock them up over the phone. It's easier. Just lock them over the phone. It's easier. And then buy my course, right? Well, let me tell you the truth. I've done it all. I've spent a whole year where we did a nationwide model, buying it in all the major states, and we locked up probably 40, 50 contracts a month. I'm going to tell you right now, the margins on there suck. So when you're out there and you're getting deals for 2K, 5K, deals you can't move, these small, skinny deals, guys, you should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed because you can't run a sustainable business off of small deals. You need fat, juicy deals in this wholesale industry because there's a lot that goes into marketing, subscriptions, overhead, etc. And especially if you want consistency. Okay. And how do you get those big, fat, juicy deals that stick, that go actually to all the way to the closing? Well, you meet them in person. You sit down with them. You build rapport. You build trust. I'm going to give you some reasons why they do stick. So actually, I have one sales guy, and he's been with me for about 2.5 months now. And I looked at all of his contracts, all of the ones that are selling and the ones that are sticking and the ones that are going to make him money. And every single contract that he is making 30, 40, 50K on, he went to the appointment on every single one of them. I was like proof of concept, right? All the other contracts that that are not sticking, or the ones that are falling out, the sellers backing out, we're all locked up over the phone. Okay. So over the phone contracts, they do happen. I make money. I've made 6-figure deals over the phone. They are there. I'm not saying they're not, but you want a sustainable business where you're making large, fat profits, go to the appointment. If you can, go to the appointment. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background. I'm in Southern California. Sometimes I have a limit that we don't go out more than a minimum of 2 hours. I got to put a mileage on that. So for example, I'm in Temecula, California. We'll have deals that come in through Lancaster. I don't have my guys go out to Lancaster. We'll usually lock those up over the phone. Okay. We'll send a mobile notary, or we send to the DocuSign, etc. So there are times that we do lock up over the phone, and that's not the issue. But we do target in the areas that we can drive to and go to the appointment. So we actually do drive all the way up to LA. I want my guys to always go to 2 appointments a day. And so at the moment that they hear pain, not based off price, but the moment they hear a qualified lead where it's, hey, I need to sell ASAP, or there's some type of distress in there, and there's equity that you can find on PropStream. So that's a little gold nugget. If you want to find, there's 2 things that make a deal. That's pain and equity. So the moment you find pain and the moment they know how they have some equity, you got a deal there. Now it's just you building that rapport and trust and getting it as low as possible. All right. So number one, trust and rapport. I actually locked up a contract over the phone last night. I'm going to tell you that right now. I locked up a contract over the phone last night. I did have somebody, he did go to the appointment earlier. That's another thing, is that when you go to these appointments, actually, I'll get to that here in a second, but I locked up a contract over the phone. Was my negotiation as strong as it could have been over the phone? No, it wasn't. It really wasn't, because a lot of times when you anchor, you're going to get a couple things. You're going to get somebody that hangs up on you. You're going to get ghosted. But I locked up a deal, and it's probably going to be a good deal anyways. But when you go to the appointment, the rapport and trust is going to be there. One, because you're a real person. So let's say you go ahead and you go to the appointment, and they got 3 other people, your competitors. You got 3 to 4 other guys out there, and they're all trying to lock that seller up over the phone. Could they win that deal? Maybe, possibly, if it's a laydown. But you can't build your business off of laydowns. Is the seller who has a house the biggest investment that most people have going to sell to somebody always over the phone, especially our big houses out here in California, $500, $600, $700 million houses? Or are they going to sell it to the person that comes in dressed professionally, clean cut, clean shaved, with the polo, credible, right? Building a rapport, putting their arm around them, saying, "Hey, I'm here for you. What can we do? I might not be your best fit, but let's find the best fit for you. And if it happens to me, great." So rapport and trust gets really built while you're there. I kind of already said this. Number 2, less fallout, more certainty. So when you lock up someone over the phone, they really don't have something tangible. So here's a little tip that we do is we do leave sometimes we'll leave the contract there with them. We'll leave a bifold that we created. So we created a bifold that tells people about the company. It tells the logo. It says, go check out our Google reviews, BBB accredited, veteran owned, etc. So they'll have something tangible in their hands. So when a competitor comes in, they say, well, I've already sold to this company. If they forget who you are, they'll look at the kitchen. They'll pop over to the kitchen table where they have your bifold. Now with us, we do keep our sellers up to date. So the moment that they sign the contract, our transaction coordinator calls them. She sends them another contract via email. She does a quick onboarding. Now again, not everybody's going to be at where we're at. But guys, when you're in escrow, please follow up with them. Please stay in touch with them. Don't ghost them. Don't just wait. Don't just sign a contract and then hope and think that you're just going to contact them 30 days later. Make sure you contact them weekly and let them know and give them updates. Bigger deals, bigger margins. Guys, the negotiations is fantastic when you're in person. Over the phone, yes. Can you do it? Yes. But I can't tell you how many times I've tried to anchor, and I have anchored, and you can do the whole. You can play the games and anchor. But guys, when you're at that appointment, you've built the rapport and the trust, and you've done the correct steps to get to that negotiation table at the kitchen table, right? That's another thing. You talk about serious stuff on the couch, and then when you're ready to negotiate, try to go over to the kitchen table. That's where business is done. So let's say you've earned the right to start negotiating, and you anchor low, right? When you anchor low, let's say ARV is 800,000. My guy anchors at 500,000. A lot of times when you're over the phone, click. There's no negotiation. Never mind. Why? Is because the seller is only hearing the number right now, right? When you're at that kitchen table, though, and you say, you know what? In a perfect world, because again, it's not your anchor. In a perfect world, if I was able to offer you 500,000, what would you say to that? It doesn't have to be just like that, but that's an example. Not many times. Well, I've never personally been kicked out of a property. If you haven't earned the trust and rapport, you will get kicked out. I'm going to tell you that right now. So, but because you've done the right steps, you've earned the trust, you've earned the rapport, you earned the right to anchor. They're not going to kick you out. They're going to say no. And that's the beginning of all negotiations is the no. No, that is way too low. Perfect. How close can you get to that? And then now you have a negotiation. Now you can figure out where their actual bottom is. They're not going to hang up on you. And because you've already built the commitment. You've already got the deal killers out of the way. Guys, this is another podcast that you have. We're going to constantly talk about the sales process in this podcast, okay? So again, bigger deals. You're going to reduce the ghosting. So here's a cool thing because let's say you try to lock up something over the phone. They click. I promise you, they'll never pick up that phone again. They're going to go, I know that guy. He gave me an offer of $500,000. That is $300,000 under what I was looking for. So you will get ghosted. And I got to make a podcast on how to get people back on the phone after they ghost you. Stronger objection handling. So when you're at that appointment, you can handle a lot of objections by using your body language, your tonality. And when you're there, you could get all those objections out of them. Okay. You're able to make that eye contact. You're able to have that tactical empathy. Can you have that over the phone? Yes. I'm not saying you can't. I do it all the time. But when you're in person, face to face with the homeowner in their home, you could have so much more connection where you can handle those objections a lot smoother and easier. You could actually you start to build your pipe up. So even if you don't get the contract at the property, which does happen, you expect that you're able to get the contract the next day, a week later, 2 weeks later, 5 weeks later, okay? Because they're going to be like, hey, you came to my house. You've seen my house. You're a real person. You're a real company. So they're going to go over you against anybody else who's going to try to lock them up over the phone. And then professionalism. I already kind of mentioned this, but professionalism. Show up correct. Wear something that makes you look credible. So again, is it going to be the person who's over the phone trying to give them this low offer, or the person who's a real company and you've explained why you need to be at this offer in person? So again, trust rapport is bigger, less fallout, bigger deals, which I think that's a ring, ring, ring. Check that one out. You need to really think about that one hard. Bigger deals in person. I'm telling you this right now. Reduce ghosting, because now they know who you're a real person. Stronger objection handling, and then you're going to build your pipeline. So all the appointments that you go to, guys, those do turn into deals over time. And you don't need to really go back to the property. And while you're at that property, please take your photos and videos, even if you don't get the contract, so that when they do sign your contract, or when you send out that mobile order, that DocuSign a couple weeks later, you already have the pictures and photos, so you don't have to go back out to the property. If you do need to go back out to the property, you do. We're going to talk about it on another podcast, what we utilize to get photos for all of our properties nationwide, which is pretty cool. So if you want to know how we get photos nationwide for a cheap cost, DM me photos in my Instagram. Also, if you feel like this podcast is something that's helpful and you might want to get coaching from myself and be in a community full of other like-minded individuals, hit me up, DM me coach, and we'll see if you'd be a good fit for the Wholesale Gauntlet. Anyways, we'll see you next time here at the Wholesale Gauntlet.